everyone, I'm Lady Teddy. I'm going to be reading to you guys from Magium, which is a text-based choose-your-own-adventure story game app that is free. It's on both Android and iOS. I highly recommend it. It's really good. There's a lot of different playthroughs that you're able to do. Smart, strong, evil, good. Currently we are doing a smart good Barry, main character's name is Barry, a smart good Barry playthrough. We are on book 3 in the middle of chapter 1. We just managed to unlock we managed to unlock book 3 recently. For the people that don't want to read it for themselves, you can go to my playlist on YouTube and it's all there. And yeah, you can catch up on where we are. Yes, it is hours after the stream. I've been streaming for almost 3.5 hours now. But I record everything separately, so I could upload it to YouTube separately. So, yeah. The way that this works is it is choose your own adventure. If it's a smart or a good choice, then I'm going to make the decision for us because we're doing a smart good playthrough. But if it's just conversational or directional, then I will allow the people in the chat to help me make the decision. If people just want to sleep or relax, that's totally fine. There's no pressure. You don't have to participate if you don't want to. If people, what I do is I read out what the choices are, and then I give everyone about a minute. If no one says anything, I'll make the decision for us and continue with the story. If people are wanting to participate, I will go with whatever the majority of the chat decides. I also have all sound alerts turned off currently to keep it relaxing and not disruptive, so I wouldn't recommend redeeming any of those. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Why? Okay, there it is. You guys are able to... What was that? Why'd you do that? Okay. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I know that it is in the middle of the story, so if anyone has a question about who someone is, what the dynamic is, feel free to ask. I'm not sure if... currently, I believe Barry and Darren, Barry's the main character, Darren's a member of the party, are just... I think they're on watch while everyone is sleeping, and they are talking about... well, yeah. I'm not sure if Eden's only reason was to humiliate you, I say. What do you mean? Darren asks me. What other reason could he have had? Well, I say, I mean, sure, maybe that might have been his goal at first, but when you got on your hands and knees and told him that you'd do anything he wanted, no matter how humiliating, he didn't ask anything from you. Remember? Oh, you saw that scene, Darren says, looking somewhat embarrassed. Yeah, now that I think about it, you're right. When I told him I'd do anything, I thought he'd jump at the opportunity, but he gave me the power just like that without asking for anything in return. Actually, no. He did ask for something. He asked me to prove him wrong. What do you suppose he meant by that? He almost certainly was talking about your previous argument with him, I say. Don't you remember? When you first met, you told him that there is still some good worth fighting for, and that as long as you don't give up, you will find a way to right the world's wrongs. That was what started your whole feud with him. So maybe after he saw you throwing yourself on your hands and knees in front of your worst enemy, just for the sake of saving one slave girl, he might have had a slight change of heart. When he asked you to prove him wrong, I think he wanted you to show him through your actions during this tournament that there is indeed still hope for humanity, like you said, and that he made a mistake by giving up on all humans the way he did. No, Darren says in disbelief. That can't be what he meant. Eden has lost his humanity a long time ago. He might have had good intentions at some point, but that was hundreds of years ago. You've seen the way he acts. He considers humans to be nothing more than insects. He even said this himself. There's no way he'd be having second thoughts now, after all this time. Are you sure about that? I say. Because if we are to judge him by how he reacted when I told him I'd save all the cities in Varathia, I'd say the situation might be quite different. I think that deep down, he wants to be wrong, but it's way too late for him to turn back now. That's why he is giving us one last chance to do what he couldn't do before everything goes down. Before everything goes down the drain for good. Oh boy, Darren says. I had completely forgotten about how you said you'd solve all of Varathia's problems by yourself, too. Between winning the tournament, killing the god of time, and saving the cities, you sure have a busy schedule ahead of you. Don't you, Barry? Hey, you know me, I say, trying to appear as confident as possible. It's all in the day's work. What the hell? Darren says. Did you hit yourself in the head or something? I could swear that I just heard some hesitation in your voice just now. What are you talking about? I say. Of course I wasn't hesitating. I never hesitate. Maybe you're the one who hit himself in the head instead of me. Right, Darren says, as he looks at me suspiciously. Listen, if you think your plan of fixing all the problems in Varathia is too reckless, then you don't have to go through with it. We already know from the prophecy that we will have the possibility to save all the cities from destruction either way. So you don't need to rely on Eden's generosity. In fact, it might be better if we didn't take his word for granted at all, because who knows when he might change his mind. And even if you are right about him, and he does truly wish to be wrong about his stance on humanity, I don't think he will make life any easier for us when we walk through those cities. In fact, I am almost certain that he will be doing everything he can to make things as hard for us as possible in order to both test us and amuse himself at the same time. We might be better off just focusing on the prophecy for now, and dealing with the cities after one of us has gained access to the Magium. You're right, we already have enough things to worry about as it is. I haven't changed my mind. I still want to save the cities before the tournament ends. Actually, I never really wanted to save those cities in the first place. I feel like smart, good Barry will definitely pick the middle one. If someone would like to argue with me, now's your chance. But smart, good Barry will definitely want to save the cities, so yeah, I will give y'all a minute so I can drink water. Context. Eden is so in this world, everyone has the ability to sense the magical power in someone's aura. Men have the possibility of becoming mages. And even people who are not mages are able to sense when someone is a mage just based off their magical aura. But there are these extremely mythically powerful mages called Stillwaters that have the aura of a normal human, so no magic. Eden is a 800-year-old, might be 600. I think it's 800. He is hundreds of years old. He is a Stillwater. He is mythically powerful, knows the ins and outs of all the rules of magic. And also the founder of the island that they're on, Varathia. He is known as the creator. And he used to sort of guide the human civilization to try and be good, but he had this belief that humans inherently want to be good and they just need a little bit of guidance and they'll choose it for themselves. But that's not necessarily the case. Yeah. I mean, he looks like a child. He looks like he's 19 or something. But he is, in fact, mythically powerful and very old. And at some point, he just sort of gave up hope for humanity and now instigates fights, kills them willy-nilly, does not care because they are humans and humans are less than insects. Humans, he's given up hope on them, and now there's a prophecy that the main party has been made aware of where they've come to realize that Eden and some other party are going to have some sort of clash, and if it's not averted, all of the human life on Varathia will be extinguished because of the actions of Eden. At one point, before they realized all of this, Barry and Eden had sort of an argument where he was like, "You're a coward," or Barry was like, "Eden, you're a coward. You gave up. You could have, instead of being a leader and doing the things you're supposed to do as a leader and taking responsibility for your actions, you have given up, and that makes you a coward." And even I, someone who has no magical ability, could do more to make Varathia a better place than you in my current situation. So he made a wager with Eden where he said that he's going to visit all of the major cities in Varathia and he's going to make things better in each city by doing something or another. And if he wins this wager, then I know, I'm not going through everything, I'm just sort of giving context. If he wins this wager, then Eden will give Barry the power to avert the crisis. So that's what they're referring to right now. Yeah, all of my previous readings are on YouTube in a playlist. It should be in order. Anyways, yeah, that's what they're referring to right now. But Barry was just sort of being mad. He was like, "You're dumb." Eden is kind of one of my favorite characters because he's a chaotic neutral, but also evil, sort of. I think that this happened towards the beginning of the second book or the first book, so it's a good recap for everyone. I haven't changed my mind. I still want to save the cities before the tournament ends. Suit yourself, Barry, Darren says. I was just saying that there are other options you can consider if you were starting to get cold feet about this whole thing. Leaving the cities of Varathia aside, I say, I think what's more important to discuss right now is whether you're done with is whether you're done with your aura practice yet. I think what's more important to discuss right now is whether you're done with your aura practice yet, because I'm getting kind of tired of just standing here in place. Twilight Witch, hello! Welcome in. Happy Monday, Tuesday, whatever it is for you. Oh, right. Sorry about that, Darren says. I just need to check up on a few more things, but I'm going to need you to turn around a few more times before I'm done. The flow of your aura is different behind your back from how it is in the front, and it's too difficult for me to make out the differences if I don't see it from the right angle. Alright, well, make sure you hurry up then, I say. This is getting a little uncomfortable. After spending 10 whole minutes trying to analyze my aura, Darren finally gave up and said that he would ask Araka some more questions tomorrow to clarify once more what exactly he was supposed to be looking for. The rest of our night shift was rather uneventful, and we mostly just discussed various things from our lives before coming to Varathia in order to pass the time. When the time came for us to end our shift, it was Hadrick and Melindra who came to relieve us of duty. Ever since that day when we fought the Sage of the North, Melindra has begun to interact a lot more normally with the group, and she even offered to take some night shifts every now and then. While she still hasn't completely gotten over her habit of provoking reactions from people for her own amusement, the others have begun to understand that there is no ill intent behind her actions. So nowadays, they mostly just brush her off whenever she's up to her old antics. From what I've seen, Flower and I are still the ones that Melindra trusts the most in our group, but she's definitely acting a lot more relaxed around the others than she used to. We left Hadrick and Melindra just as they were about to start a game of cards, and we each went to our tents so that we could enjoy some sleep for the rest of the night. When I woke up the next morning, I went to eat some breakfast made by Flower, and after we were all done with our food, we resumed our journey, with Melindra taking the lead as always. Not long after our departure, Darren began to ask Araka various technical questions about how to analyze auras, to the shock of everyone else around him. Since he wasn't planning to shut up by himself, Araka eventually decided to stop ignoring Darren and to address him directly. "Have you gone daft?" Araka says. "Our training session isn't scheduled until later this evening. Why the hell are you asking me all these questions now?" "Because what you told me doesn't make any sense," Darren says, exasperated. "How am I supposed to find the right flow line in Barry's aura when there are a million of them and they all look exactly the same?" "What do you mean they look the same?" Araka says. Each and every one of them is completely different. Even their movements are more or less independent from each other. Are you really that stupid? How much do I need to dumb this down for you so that I won't feel like talking to a brick wall? I think that you should start with learning how to detect the aura of a regular Lasathi first, Darren, Flower says in an uncharacteristically serious tone. Even Araka thought Barry was a normal Lasathi at first, and you know how good she is with auras. If this isn't the kind of difference that she can tell at a glance without specifically looking for it, then you have no chance of finding it on your first try. Aluna can tell the difference between a Lasathi and a human's aura, so maybe she can explain it to you in terms that are easier to understand. I told you that there is no need for you to call me by my real name, Aluna says. You can just keep calling me Petal like you always do. Whatever you say, Aluna, Flower says. Ugh, Aluna says. Do what you will. Wait, are you two still fighting since yesterday evening? I say. We're not fighting, Flower says, simply. Right, I say. The clown girl does have a point, Araka says. Maybe having Aluna tutor him for a while, until he is able to sense Lasathi auras, would be a better idea for now. If nothing else, at least it would make him stop pestering me with all these inane questions. Luckily, we also have a regular Lasathi in the team, so he won't be lacking test subjects for his practice sessions. Test subjects? Layla writes, with a bit of apprehension in her eyes. He only needs to analyze your aura, so you won't need to do anything other than turn around a few times for him to get a better look, I tell Layla. At most, you're going to get a little dizzy, but nothing more than that. Oh, okay, Layla writes, looking more relieved. I can do that. So, Darren says as he looks hesitantly towards Flower. Aluna, do you have some time, or... Flower's eyes turn blue all of a sudden as Aluna looks at Darren for a few seconds before answering. Come here, Aluna says, eventually. We'll see what I can show you until we reach the city. We travel for a few more hours before Melindra finally told us that we were getting close to our destination. During this time, Darren has been practicing his aura reading skills with the help of Aluna and Layla, although from what I've seen, progress has been a little slow. When Darren finally decided to take a break, Flower took advantage of this opportunity to ask Melindra about the new rocks she's added to her collection in the past few days. Achievement unlocked. Password acquired. Observation check successful level 4. Ancient languages check successful level 4. Also, there are stats and stuff in this game. There's a stat device. As Melindra pulled out one of the rocks from her backpack in order to show it to Flower, I couldn't help but notice that it had a few barely visible, very small symbols engraved on its surface, which I would have normally ignored if they didn't also happen to be written in one of the ancient languages that I've been taught by my stat device. I did not need to ask Melindra for a closer look at the rock because she is rotating it in all the possible angles while showing it to Flower, which gave me more than enough time to read the text on it. Apparently, the symbols were written in a very old dialect of Goblin language, and the meaning behind them was, the password is Griffinbeak. The words didn't exactly tell me anything, but who knows? Maybe I'll find some use for this information later. While Melindra was busy showing Flower her rocks, Darren decided to do one final check to see if we all still remembered our infiltration plans for the city, which we discussed at length during the previous day. Alright, so everyone knows what we need to do once we reach Allendor, right? Darren says. Yeah, we've been over this before, Hadrick says. Depending on how tight the security is, we either try to sneak in or bust right through their front door. It's not like we have many other options, anyways. Hold on there, Melindra says as she suddenly turns towards us. You guys have been discussing how to infiltrate the city of Allendor without including me in your meetings? Well, we asked you to join us a million times, but you just kept putting us off, so we eventually had to do a meeting without you, Darren says. It's not like we could just start planning these things after we'd already reached the city. Why not? Melindra asks, confused. Wouldn't it have been a better idea to wait and see the city's defenses before you made any concrete plans? Well, yeah, sure. But it's not like we don't already have a general idea of what we might be going up against, Darren says. I mean, we've already seen Thilius's defenses, so I'm guessing that Allendor can't be that much different. Oh, I assure you that Allendor is quite different when it comes to their defenses, Melindra says. Then why don't you just tell us these differences so that we can adjust our plans accordingly? Darren asks her. Because it would be more difficult for me to explain than simply show it to you, Melindra says. You'll understand once we get there. Well, if worse comes to worse, Melindra could just fly us over the walls like she did in Thilius, right? Hadric says. It's not like a few crossbowmen are going to stop us. We should be in sight of the city walls in a few minutes, and then you'll have your answer, Melindra says. Now please stop talking so I can focus on these rocks. I want to finish showing them to Flower before we reach Allendor. We do as Melindra says, and we keep quiet for the next few minutes until she is done showcasing all of her rocks. After she puts them in her backpack, Melindra tells us that we will be seeing Allendor as soon as we pass the line of willows in front of us. So, do you all remember when I told you that in Allendor they are still preserving old relics from the Lisathi Empire's days of glory? Melindra says. Yeah, you did say something like that when we were in the second stage of the God of Time's ritual, Darren says. Why do you ask? Well, Melindra says as she pushes away the willow branches in front of us so we can get out of the forest. What we see when we walk out of the woods stuns us briefly, as we all just gaze in complete shock at the city that can be seen in the distance in front of us. Just like Melindra told us, it looks like the ruins of the Black Ceridium Tower that used to gather the magical energy for the old Lisathi Empire are still being preserved. But what she omitted to tell us was that they are still apparently functional, even in this state of decay. In a similar fashion to how it all worked 5,000 years ago, these towers have flying platforms on each side of them, which carry mages across their various levels, and on top of each of the ruined towers there is a purple-colored yarn of magical energy that is moving chaotically in every direction. Someone must have restored these towers somehow, but not to their full functionality, because their size is at least 4 times smaller than the towers we saw during the ritual, and the energy they are radiating is nowhere near as impressive as the one from 5,000 years ago. That being said, it looks like even this smaller amount of energy is more than enough to power up all the magical contraptions they could possibly need. The air above the city is being filled with flying metal vehicles. The large holographic screens in the sky that we saw in the old Lisathi Empire are also present, and aside from all that, there still seems to be quite a few 20-foot-tall metal golems that are patrolling the area around the city, ready to attack any unwanted intruders. As we look at the city in front of us with our jaws dropped, a lonely bird innocently tries to fly over the wall so that it can get to the other side. Just as it passes the wall, one of the golems immediately turns its head towards it and sends a huge beam of fire flying out of its mouth, which incinerates its target instantly, leaving only ashes in the air where the bird once was. While the rest of us are simply staring in front of us in disbelief, it is Hadric who breaks the silence by asking Melindra a question. So, Hadric says, I'm guessing that's a no on the plan to fly us over the walls then. Next chapter, yay. Well, my throat already feels a little sore, so I think I'm just gonna call it here. Okay. Well, feels weird to be ending this early, but yeah. I'm probably just going to call it here. Yeah. I have to see your. I mean, he wasn't lying. First of all, Darren is straight and gay. Or no, straight and married. So he wouldn't be interested in Barry. And he is actually learning aura. Like, learning to read auras. So, he explained earlier that it's different from different angles, so he needed Barry to spin in circles to try and read the different auras or the different aura lines or something. But that is funny that that's how you took it. But no, he has a wife that he is very devoted to on another continent. Married, your distrust goes. It's crazy that reading, or so he says. You know, you guys might actually not know that yet. I may have just spoiled something for you guys. I don't remember if in this playthrough you guys find out that he's married this early. There's an achievement that you can get where you find out that he's married pretty early on. And if not, you'll find out later in this book. And I can't remember if you guys know that he's married or not. You have a headcanon? Well, that is your prerogative. In fact, if you can do fan art, feel free to draw Barry and Darren ships and post it in their Reddit. Because that's most of what happens in the subreddit for Magium. It's mostly just fan art and stuff, and there's also some fan theories, and then also people asking when the next chapter is going to be released. Sometimes polls and stuff as well. I feel like it's like once a month I get a notification that someone posted in the subreddit asking who the best girl is. Which, you guys picked Melindra. Chad is the one who picked Melindra as the person to ship in this game. My personal favorite is Layla. She's so sweet. She's just so sweet. But of course, if Araka wasn't an evil hag who lived in an amulet and didn't have a body, Araka would be best girl. It's interesting and you know zero about it? Nice. That's the best way. Well, Magium is a text-based choose your own adventure game that is an app, and it's free on both Android and iOS, so feel free to download it and play it for yourself. It's very good, and it's free. If you don't want to, all of my previous readings are in that playlist. Oh, I should probably stop the recording now. Sorry for everyone who's watching this on YouTube.